In being the greatest player in League of Legends history, Faker has developed countless skills which have accelerated his gameplay to a league of its own. However, before we break down some of his most iconic instances of this immense expertise, we first need to show that despite being a 4-time world champion, even the unkillable Demon King still has his moments in which he makes some of the game's most basic mistakes. You see, during the semifinals of Worlds 2016, Faker and SKT found themselves in one of the greatest series ever in international history, facing off against their fellow Korean representatives, the ROX Tigers, for a spot in the finals. However, after closing out Game 1 with the securing of an Elder Dragon, SKT would be taken aback by the Tigers' then incredibly off-meta pick of Misfortune Support, a lock-in intended to shut down Bang & Wolf's dominant bot lane, which it certainly succeeded in, leaving Faker as the sole strongest member of the team due to his solid Victor early game that would only allow him to scale even harder as the game progressed. However, despite being responsible for the role of essentially trying not to die, Faker instead reprised his role as Shaker, as in an attempt to secure the Raptors, the SKT mid laner underestimated Rox's read on his positioning, and though he tried to escape, his attempted flash accidentally proved that even the game's best sometimes struggle with the most level 1 mechanics.
Yeah, but if SKT can fight back, it will mean so much for this series, because this is the largest goal deficit at 20.
Faker with one of the worst flashes. He needs practice tool. Down he goes. That's going to be a kill for ROX Tigers off the arrow cooldown. Bang tagged as well. Not much more.
And though it wasn't quite as bad of a mechanical slip-up as the previous play, during this crucial Game 4 of World Semifinals in 2019, Faker made arguably one of the biggest, most costly mistakes of his career, as even though SKT had leveled out the series to 1 apiece during Game 2, their longtime European rivals in G2 eSports had pushed this legendary Korean organization against the ropes by securing Game 3 and putting themselves a single game away from securing their spot on home turf in Worlds Finals. But as you probably expected, SKT wouldn't allow themselves to go down so easily, especially considering the organization's unmatched pedigree when it comes to international competition, as they fought valiantly against the then reigning MSI champions in this incredibly close bout. And after successfully turning around an Orin-initiated mid lane fight by G2, SKT managed to secure themselves a Baron and eventually a formidable gold lead for the first time in the game, looking to bring this legendary series to silver scrapes. And with both Baron respawned and 4 Drakes to their name, the Korean roster was on the hunt for any picks that would allow them to turn these objectives into a potential victory. But though it was already rough that Faker's engage had been successfully evaded by Perk's Yasuo, things only got worse from there.
The back end of that ultimate, Faker now steps forward, Faker now gets taken out, Faker is dead! Faker is dead! What was that? Now the rest of the team stepping forward, G2 looking to close this fight out, Perk's throwing the wind wall over. Tornado comes in, Windwall to block, Clid now taken down. This should be G2's first Baron of the series if they can find it. Clid deleted, Caps unstoppable, G2 on the cusp of making it to finals.
But now transitioning away from Faker's baseline mistakes to his definingly dominant game mastery, just a couple weeks prior during this same Worlds, in a group stage match versus the LCS Play-In's representative, Clutch Gaming, the GOAT proved that even in seemingly inescapable situations, he could keep his cool on Dakali and help secure the game for his team. As headed into this group stage bout, SKT sat atop Clutch as the clear favorites, entering with a 2-0 record compared to their opposition's reverse scoreline of 0-2. And on the back of Faker's immaculate execution of the Rogue Assassin, the reigning LCK champions found themselves in prime position to comfortably close out the game. But though they knew they couldn't face check Baron due to the massive gold lead generated by SKT, Clutch Gaming attempted to find some small semblance of a trade-off in catching the Korean mid lane carry off guard. But even in the 1v4, Faker kept his composure and broke the LCS ankles.
Did they kill Faker, yes or no, Vedius?
No.
Okay, let's see what he does. 3-on-1, 4-on-1 as Cody's Sun comes down. The quickness is used already. Faker's got flash available. He dashes. He doesn't even use the flash. And Vedius, you are a god. You called it. Faker escapes and SK Telecom. They start the Baron. That was Faker doing Faker things.
But when your literal username needs to fake someone out, it shouldn't come as a surprise that this is far from the only time in which the mid lane legend's evasive maneuvers have been pulled off on the international stage, as just 3 years later in the semifinals of Worlds 2022, Faker managed to pull off back-to-back miracles in his successful escape from the first-seeded LPL champions, JDG. After kicking off this best-of-5 series on the back foot due to hopes of Philios being an incredibly high-damage late-game raid boss in Game 1, T1 managed to claw their their way back into an even scoreline in Game 2, thanks to strong performances by both Gumayusi and Zeus headed into Game 3, in which after an early roam to avenge his bot lane, it became time for Faker's iconic rise to take control of the game, a responsibility that he managed to hold firmly as his presence in fights allowed the spell spamming mage to continue his scaling even further, but in racking up these numerous early kills, it left the T1 carry with a large target on his back, and though he had narrowly escaped death once before, with 369's Renekton looking for a turnaround and the JEG bot lane on their way, there was no shroud for Faker to hide behind this time as he began this pivotal dance of defying death.
Now at the same time they find the rest. 369 going to take his fight against Faker. Will it be enough? Does he win round 2? He's ignited. He's ever frosted. And Faker with 5 health left wins the one-on-one.
The GOAT! Now he's got more enemies coming after him, though. He's going for the sneaky recall. Out of vision.
They know he's on the left-hand side. Missing. Will not spot him go into the brush. They see. You can see it. You can see it. It was in vision. They don't walk over to the roam board.
Faker with the okie-doke, complete jukes right here. You can't see me.
But earlier that year in the finals of MSI 2022, in a series facing off against who else but the mid-season titans RNG, Faker and T1 were looking to prove that their already all-star lineup can not only dominate the LCK but could also take home a trophy on the international stage. However, though the series got off to a bit of a rocky start for this world-class roster, after being cut to shreds by Bin's 13-0 Gwen masterclass in Game 1, in the second match Faker's Lissandra helped boost the already advantageous Zeus ahead of the RNG top laner, but this lead wouldn't exactly work out as planned, as once again kills onto Owner and Zeus led to T1's opponents looking to score themselves a Baron buff with their advantage. However, this time around, T1 wasn't willing to just let the objective fall without a fight, so despite being placed in a 3 vs 5, Faker sent himself headfirst into the den of RNG, managing to not only create an incredible setup for his bot lane to follow up on, but also managing to create one of the most iconic MSI casting lines in the process.
Flashed away by Gumayusi. Faker looking to get in from the back of the pit. Frozen Tomb available for him. RNG calling T1's bluff, and Faker finds them all! Gumayusi, Carrier, and Faker will not go quietly into the night. Form is temporary. Faker is forever!
And while we're on the topic of MSI, we of course have to mention the legendary series between SKT and G2 during the semifinals of MSI 2019, which at the time of writing still remains one of the most watched league series of all time. Headed into the potentially series-ending Game 4, SKT found themselves up 2-1 in this back and forth series. However, the start of this game wasn't initially going too hot, as G2 managed to pull ahead with their strong early game, making plays on side lanes and snowballing their advantages. However, as you may recall, during that year's MSI, Sylas was one of the most meta-defining picks of the tournament, holding a 73% pick ban presence in play-ins and a 100% presence throughout the course of the main stage. So naturally, when you give one of the strongest meta picks to the greatest player in the game's history, you should be ready to be impressed by some jaw-dropping plays, and with SKT's chances at winning slipping out of their grasp, Faker, courtesy of a stolen Gnarl, was looking to prove that it would take more than just side lane dominance to take him out, and in doing so, he was looking to demonstrate his adaptability and put on quite a show.
Trying to push forward with the minion wave is getting obliterated. Oh! Massive! Manages to steal the Gnaw. Faker turns around. He hijacks G2's chances. Listen to that crowd as SKT turn it around.
And now fast forwarding to this past year's Worlds in 2023, after escaping a chaotic Swiss stage and barreling through LNG with a 3-0 sweep in the quarterfinals, Faker and T1 found themselves pitted against the seemingly unstoppable titans of JDG, who were just 2 series away from completing the first ever Golden Road in League's history. So to say that this series was a highly anticipated one would be an understatement, and thankfully for the fans, it certainly lived up to its hype, as after T1 stomped the first game, JDG responded by playing Cassante and winning Game 2, setting the series scoreline at 1 apiece headed into Game 3. However, unlike the first 2 games, this third match was certainly more on a knife's edge, with the gold lead never strongly favoring either team throughout the course of the match, though it would eventually become clear that Ruler's lethality Varus was posing a real threat to both Faker and T1, and after managing to pick up kills on both Owner and Zeus, JEG took Baron and began to march down mid lane, looking poised to overwhelm T1 and inflict some serious damage on their base. That is, until the unkillable Demon King saw a crack in the armor of JEG's seemingly impenetrable team coordination, and piloting his famous Azir, used his shifting sands to turn the tides.
TP coming in, Faker looking to make the play against Ruler! Owner goes in! And again, the combos are clean! The hostile takeover is damn well hostile! T1 looking to leave no survivors alive. 369 has meant the entire team will get absolutely nothing! T1 in the clutch are too damn clean!
Now, not only was this catch out impressive due to Faker's predicting of Ruler's flash, but off the back of this insane pick, T1 managed to wipe the dominant JEG off the map entirely with a 5-for-0 ace, and would go on to march down mid and close out the game, putting them up 2-1 in the series and eventually allowing them to end JEG's golden road and advance to Worlds Finals. But while Faker was able to showcase his predictive game sense with this insane catch out, there is of course another much more famous highlight from this tournament's past that allowed the then 3-time world champion to truly shine in one of the greatest team fighting moments in League eSports history. You see, during the group stage of Worlds 2017, both Faker and SKT were looking to prove themselves against the reigning LPL champions EDG during their first bout of the play-in stage. However, things got out of hand incredibly quickly for the second seed Korean representatives, as despite the hype around the match, the first 30 minutes of the game was kind of a blowout to say the least. As with EDG being up 10,000 gold, 9 kills to 0, and 7 towers plus an inhibitor compared to SKT's mere 2 outer turrets, victory was practically guaranteed for the Chinese squad as they went to stop SKT's last-ditch effort to sneak away the Baron for themselves. However, while it both appeared and would make sense that SKT would try and stall out the game by denying such a crucial objective, they used EDG's lack of vision to their advantage, and contrary to the more reserved SKT playstyle, they decided to take a risk, and weaponizing the element of surprise would ultimately shock everyone.
They're saving the break now. They got two already. Bang is hiding. He's coming. Bang looking to come in. Here comes your initiation. They're right through. Oh my God. Faker Shockwave will find them all. And SKT with a hell of a response will take down 4.
On the back of Wolf's knockup, Huni's silence, and of course Faker's shockwave, SKT took this perfect storm of a teamfight and ultimately mounted one of the largest comebacks in League Pro Play history. However, even in the 1v1, we still know that Faker can be quite lethal, as over a decade later in his professional career, his most iconic highlight proves that challenging the unkillable Demon King on your own can be quite the tall task. You see, SKT found themselves in a best of 5 matchup facing against the KT Bullets for the OGN 2013 Summer Finals, and despite having opened the series with back-to-back losses, this up-and-coming team had managed to pull back even into the series with a 2-2 scoreline headed into Game 5, and though it's no longer allowed professional play, back then during Game 5 of a best-of-5 series, both teams were allowed to select the same champions as one another, leading to both Faker and Ryu locking in Zed. However, this wasn't the only mirror matchup that led to this play being possible, as you may have noticed both top laners locked in Shen, but despite having both of their Stand United ultimates up, neither Insect nor Impact decided to interfere with this 1v1 duel, leading to the birth of this unforgettable masterclass.
I'm like, even though I only have a mat on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker maybe in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that?
Faker with a huge play, the QSS.
I can't believe I just saw
he
that.
actually won that duel.
I can't believe that
SK
happened.
Telecom just charges into the KT Bullets base.
And to see more insane plays and broken ankles, you should check out our coverage of 9 times Caps Impress the World. This has been Simply Spent with Silverscrapes. Thanks for watching, and take care.